I wonder if NATO and Russia can talk and make friends. I wonder if something stuck to my chin again. Bit of food again. They can actually resolve these problems. And Russia, UK, and America, will it develop a Cold War? Are we actually heading for a Cold War? Which we're going to be watching on this thing about the vessel that got shot. I was trying to think about the other thing. The vessel got shot, and Britain said they're denying it to even happened about the vessel. But anyway, we're going to watch more of this and see what you guys and girls think.
Russia says it fired on the ship because of an incursion, and the UK is denying it.
I would say it's not confusing. I would say it's bizarre. The Russians have given very precise details of what happened, that shots were fired, and that 4 bombs were dropped by an aircraft flying over the head of the ship. He also, the BBC correspondent on board has said shots were fired, but also said a warning was given, very clear warning, which he overheard from the Russian Coast Guard, that if the ship proceeded the way it was, it would open fire. And yet, the British are denying this takes place. The Royal Navy and the Ministry of Defence said this did not happen. I think the question has to be, what was HMS Defender up to? Because the Royal Navy says it peeled away on a mission of its own. It peeled away from NATO exercises taking place in the Mediterranean to go into the Black Sea. In the Black Sea, earlier, it was one of its guests was the Ukrainian Deputy Minister of Defence, and he, on the board HMS Defender, signed a treaty giving the Russian, Americans and British giving aid, naval aid to Ukraine. And now it seems to be sailing to Georgia. So it's making a tour of different trouble spots in the Black Sea. And while the Ministry of Defence in London says, of course, Britain doesn't recognise the Russian occupation of Crimea, common sense might suggest that that voyage, so near the Crimean coast, was at best provocative, and was going to meet with some sort of response from the Russians. And it appears that's what happened.
I was going to say that to you, Chris. I mean, if a ship enters what you consider to be your waters, or airspace for that matter, there will be action, won't there?
Yes, and the British do take action if Russian planes, for instance, enter British airspace. They do shadow Russian vessels going through the English Channel. So it's what's expected. It's what happens.
Could this be sorry, Chris, could this be the start of something bigger?
I think it could be the start of something bigger.
See what that lady said? Could this be the start of something bigger? That means war. See what the woman said? Could that be the start of something bigger? And she's asking the guy the question, and he's going to answer her. It could be something bigger. Could Britain go to war with Russia? Could Russia go to war with Britain? Could NATO, which we're helping, the British forces, fight with them? It could go off to conflict in the Black Sea. Well, does that mean conflict will come over to here? And some people say, no, what will happen? Well, we'll watch a bit more of the video and you can find out, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that there is an almost constant NATO presence, naval presence in the Black Sea. At the moment we have British, American and Dutch vessels helping the Ukrainians. And sailing so close, those NATO vessels, highly sophisticated with tracking equipment, surveillance equipment and so on, sailing so close to the Russian waters, even if they don't recognise them, surely this is a recipe for confrontation. And I would have hoped that at some stage NATO and Russia can talk about de-escalating this situation before something even more serious happens.
Well, the Defence Secretary says Russia is spreading disinformation. That's a rather traditional slur, isn't it?
Yes, and it's a constant one. I think the question they've got to answer is that Russia is giving fairly accurate information. What was HMS Defender doing here? What was this mission that it was so sent on, peeling off from these NATO exercises? The Russians have also called in, as we've seen, the British military attaché, who's a naval officer in Moscow, to put their point of view, I suspect rather forcefully. What was the result? What was the British answer to that? There are a number of questions which I think the British government need to answer. I mean, in particular, I'll repeat, what was this mission that HMS Defender was on in the Black Sea?
And finally, though, how can this situation be resolved, do you think?
Well, I think it has to be resolved between talks between NATO and Russia, but I'm not holding my breath on that, given the kind of Cold War which is developing between the United
See?
States, Britain, and Russia, and given the commitment of the British, the Americans, and others are giving to the Ukrainians in that conflict, it would seem to me we should stand aside from that conflict, encourage a solution, a peaceful solution. But as I said, NATO should talk directly to Russia about de-escalating the situation which is developing in the Black Sea.
There we go. It could happen. But anyway, thank you for joining this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Give it a like, give it a comment, show your friends. See you next one. Peace.